Winter of 1840. Wales. The mountain wind cuts your face like broken glass. You are 14, an orphan. Your boots are wrapped in filthy rags, but your toes lost all feeling long ago. Your stomach cramps violently with pain. You haven't eaten in 3 days. Yesterday, the local elder died in the main manor. The old sin-eater rotted away in his forest shack back in autumn. The village desperately needs a new scapegoat. The deceased man's son steps into your dark alley. He looks at you with absolute disgust, covering his nose with a perfumed handkerchief. He throws a copper coin into the snow. He promises you hot meat stew, a mug of ale, and fresh bread, just for one small favor. You simply need to eat a meal at their house. You don't think about religious curses. You only think about food. Hunger completely kills fear. You pick up the freezing copper with numb, filthy fingers.
You are led into a room heavily draped in black broadcloth. The air is thick. It smells of melted beeswax, dampness, and the sickly sweet rot of human flesh. The elder's corpse lies on a long oak table. His skin is gray and taut, like old parchment. His eyes are sealed shut by 2 copper pennies. The relatives huddle in the corners. They look at you with a mixture of primal horror and deep disgust. A piece of black bread rests on the dead man's sunken chest. Next to it sits a wooden bowl of dark ale. The priest hastily recites a prayer for the dead. You must take this man's black sins into your own soul so he can enter the gates of heaven. You step right up to the table. The corpse radiates a sepulchral, piercing chill. You take the bread directly off the dead man's chest. You take a bite. The bread is stale, heavily crusted with coarse rock salt. You chew, choking on the sharp crumbs. You greedily wash it down with sour ale. With every swallow, you feel another man's greed, pride, and cruelty sliding down your throat like thick molasses. The ritual is complete. Your stomach is full. Your soul is now black. The morning of the next day, you step out onto the narrow village street. A fine, freezing rain is falling. You are full, but a strange, pulling heaviness has settled deep inside you. You walk past the stone houses. You hear a loud thud. It is the sound of people hastily slamming their oak doors and wooden shutters right in front of you. Women hide their children behind their long skirts in sheer terror. The blacksmith turns away and spits thickly into a muddy puddle by your bare feet. Yesterday, you saved their elder's soul. Today, you are worse than a leper to them. You are now a walking vessel of corruption. You are forever forbidden from entering the church. You are forbidden from looking normal people in the eyes. The priest drives you out beyond the village borders with a stick. Your new home is a rotting forest shack on the very edge of the peat bogs. There, in a damp corner on the floor, you find the old, cracked wooden bowl of the previous sin-eater. This is your personal dishware until the end of your days. No one will ever pour you a drink from a normal mug again. You sit on the cold dirt floor. You realize the terrifying truth. You sold yourself forever for a single piece of salted bread. 5 long years pass. You survived. You are 19. Your face is forever hidden beneath a heavy, rain-soaked hood. You sleep on rotting straw in your dark shack. In the middle of the night, a scratching sound wakes you. Someone is tapping on your window with a long, dry branch. People are afraid to come close. People are afraid to even share the same air with you. You slowly rise from the cold floor. Your joints already ache from the constant dampness of the peat bogs. You step over the threshold into the thick fog. The miller's son stands before your shack. He turns away, crosses himself with a trembling hand, and hastily throws coins straight into the slush at your feet. No one will ever hand you your payment directly. Your skin is a curse. Your touch is a guaranteed path to hell. The client turns and runs off into the darkness, covering his nose with his sleeve. You drop to your knees in the freezing muck. Your filthy, frost-bitten fingers grope along the bottom of a deep puddle. You dig the slippery copper coins out of the mud and horse manure. You wipe the grime off on your damp cloak. This is your wage, the price for absorbing another man's lust, lies, and theft. You silently squeeze the freezing metal in your fist and walk toward the village. The dead man will not wait. Your most terrifying commission. The local blacksmith ended his own life in an old barn. Suicide, an absolute unforgivable sin that seals the gates of heaven forever. The relatives paid you triple the usual rate. The corpse lies on a filthy workbench. The blacksmith's face is purple and bloated. A deep, bloody groove from the rough rope yawns across his neck. The air is saturated with the acrid smell of voided bowels and stale sweat. The bread rests on the dead man's massive, hairy chest. You pick it up with trembling hands. You take a bite. Nausea hits you instantly. This piece tastes like concentrated bile mixed with wood ash. Your throat spasms. You pour the ale down your throat, but it feels thick and salty like rancid blood. You choke. You feel the hangman's black, sticky despair physically pouring into your veins. A massive weight crushes you to the floor. You barely make it back to your forest. You collapse on the threshold of your shack. A violent fever racks your body. For 3 days and 3 nights, you vomit black bile. Your stomach rejects the pure concentration of another man's madness. You lie on the dirt floor, curled into a tight ball. Your fingernails scrape the damp mud. You whisper prayers, but the words feel hollow and dead. You survived physically, but a piece of your soul was left to rot forever in the noose alongside that blacksmith. A stash is hidden beneath a rotting floorboard in your shack. You slide the board away with dirt-stained hands. Metal gleams dully inside. You have accumulated hundreds of coppers and dozens of heavy silver shillings. The village buries its dead frequently. By the standards of simple farmers, you are incredibly wealthy. You can afford the finest broadcloth and a prime cut of beef for dinner. You decide to visit the village market on trading day. You need a new cloak and a warm blanket for the winter. You approach the meat vendor's stall. The smell of fresh blood and warm pork drives your empty stomach insane. You pull out a silver coin and place it on the clean wood of the counter. The coin glimmers in the sunlight. The butcher looks up at you. He recognizes your filthy hood. The massive man's face instantly turns stark white. He recoils from the counter, as if you had just laid a venomous snake before him. He sweeps your silver onto the ground with a wooden stick. The crowd around you falls silent and parts, forming a wide, empty circle around you. Not a single merchant in Wales will accept a coin from your hands. Your money is just as cursed as you are. You lower your head. You pick up your useless silver from the dust. You return to the rotting forest, the wealthiest beggar in the entire kingdom. You are 25. Your shack has turned into a crypt. The winter of 1851 has locked the bogs in black ice. You sit in total darkness. The candles ran out long ago. In the silence, you hear a scratching sound. It is not mice. It is the sound of the hanged blacksmith's long nails scraping against the wooden beams right above your head. Your psyche cracks deeply. The voices begin right after midnight. At first, it is just indistinguishable muttering. Then you clearly make out the weeping of the old miller, begging forgiveness for his theft. This is followed by the coarse laughter of the stable hand who beat his wife to death. They all live inside your head. You devoured their vices, and now they share a single body with you. You press your filthy palms against your ears. You slam your head against the cold dirt floor. The whispering only grows louder. The dead demand release. The dead are driving you insane. You try to pray, but foreign, blasphemous curses tear from your throat. You no longer belong to yourself. You are an overflowing cesspool for the souls of others.
A dangerous highwayman is caught in the valley. He slaughtered an entire family for a handful of silver. The local judge sentences him to be drawn and quartered. The mob tears him to pieces in the town square. The mangled remains are thrown onto rough planks in the prison cellar. You are brought there under armed guard. The soldiers strike you in the back with rifle butts, forcing you to approach the bloody mess. The bread is soaked in another man's blood. It is damp, sticky, and warm. You close your eyes and take a bite. The taste of rusty iron and raw meat instantly fills your mouth. This is not just a sin, it is concentrated primal rage. Along with the filthy ale, you pour the pure thirst for murder into yourself. Your muscles tense involuntarily. Your fingers clench into fists until the knuckles crack loudly. The poison of another's cruelty strikes directly at your brain. Returning to the forest, you experience a wild, uncontrollable urge to tear out the throat of the first person you meet. You see a stray dog. Your hand reaches for a heavy stone entirely on its own. You stop yourself with tremendous effort. You drop to your knees in the wet grass, sobbing with disgust at the monster you have become. The murderer's sins have burned away your humanity forever.
You are 35 years old. Your body is beginning to rot alive. The plague of foreign vices is physically destroying your organs. Every morning starts with long fits of bloody coughing. Your skin takes on an earthy yellow hue. Your joints swell to the size of large apples. Not a single doctor in the county will cross the threshold of your shack. To them, your diagnosis is divine punishment. You treat yourself. You gather bitter wormwood, black mold, and poisonous roots from the bogs. You boil them into a thick, foul-smelling brew that numbs the tongue. Your shack is littered with empty bottles of the cheapest, throat-burning gin. The alcohol does not heal the flesh, but it drowns out the screams of the dead in your head for a few hours. At night, the fever burns you from the inside out. Your filthy cloak is completely soaked in cold sweat. You lie in a pile of rotten straw and feel your lungs slowly turning to dust. You drink the bitter swamp concoction directly from the cracked wooden bowl. Your life is turned into an endless physical agony. You beg for death, but death is just as disgusted by you as the living.
The year is 1876. You are 50. You step out of the shack after a long winter storm. Freezing water drips from the bare branches directly onto your balding head. A deep, murky puddle gleams underfoot. You look down. You see your reflection in it. An 80-year-old man stares back at you from the water. Your lips are forever twisted in a horrific grimace of pain and the taste of rot. Only a few black, decaying teeth remain in your mouth. Your eyes have sunken so deeply they look like empty black holes. You are a walking graveyard. Your skin has turned gray and thin like a spider web. You raise a trembling hand and touch your pockmarked face. You physically feel every murderer, thief, and adulterer of this cursed valley crawling beneath your skin. You laugh at your own deformity. You spit into your own reflection. The muddy water distorts your laughter beyond recognition. Your time is up. Your lungs have completely rotted away. You collapse onto the floor of your shack, knocking loose the old floorboard of your stash. Hundreds of copper pennies and silver shillings cascade onto the rotting straw. You lie directly on your useless wealth. The cold metal digs painfully into your emaciated, fleshless back. You try to take a deep breath. The air gets stuck in your throat in a thick, bloody clot. The shack smells of decomposition. The smell is you. Your body is dying before your heart even stops. Suddenly, you taste a phantom flavor on your tongue, the taste of stale, salted bread and sour ale. Your fingers frantically scrape the dirt floor, clutching the cursed coins. With this money, you bought yourself a seat in the very center of hell.
Your stomach cramps in one final spasm. You lived your entire life feeding on the corruption of others. Now that corruption is devouring you from the inside out.